Hello all. Before we dive headfirst into this review of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I feel that I need to give a disclaimer because I do feel like oftentimes your experience of seeing a movie can shade it and shade your judgment on it. And in this case, I'm going to try not to, but I'm just going to, let's have a little story time, shall we? So to start this one off, headed to see this movie, I was supposed to prepare some type of food for my husband and I so that we could eat it on the way to the theater. Needless to say, that you can probably guess where the story is going, is that I did not do that on the day that we went to go see Mission Impossible. So we are driving to the theater. I am ravenous. Of course, we get caught in traffic. We get to the theater, and usually my go-to when I get to one of these theaters, especially in AMC, because as Nicole Kidman said, dreams really do feel real here. And my dream that day was getting a big fat bucket of popcorn or a flatbread or some of their chicken tenders, or honestly their nachos now that their normal cheese is back. And the line was unforgiving, and we were concerned that since we were already there behind the time when they would give away the press seat, we just need to get seats. So we go in, we sit down at these seats, and they're right above the screen. You know, listen, I'm seeing this movie 2-3 weeks early. I'm not gonna complain. So I tell my husband, I'm gonna go get us some snacks, okay? You want anything? I'll be back. I go, I'm in line, I'm waiting in line, and then the inevitable happens. People get moved around and better seats are available, and gosh darn it, I'm not gonna do this to my husband that just drove an hour and a half in traffic. And so I scramble back, and the movie starts. And then I think to myself, okay, exposition dump at the beginning of the movie, I'm gonna go get food again, and the line was way too long that I was gonna miss way too much of the movie and then not enjoy it. So I sat there the entire movie, very hungry. Now, my hunger at this point in the evening was insatiable and unforgiving, and therefore, if you feel differently than I do about the Mission Impossible movie, you are of course entitled to that opinion regardless of my disclaimer, but especially in light of it, just, you know, I'm gonna try to be kind. Despite the fact that I could not Ethan Hunt myself through the line, watching Tom Cruise do the Tom Cruise thing in this movie is as enjoyable as ever, okay? When he runs, he's got that crazy little run. It's just so fun, okay? When we see the stunt that has been like the primary promotion for this movie of him motorcycling off a cliff, again, no spoilers, but it's awesome. It's pretty freaking awesome to know that there is a real man, this adrenaline junkie of a guy, Tom, who is just going absolutely crazy in our real world to make a fun movie. Now, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning finds us where most Mission Impossible movies do, with an impossible mission. And while my impossible mission was getting snacks and I failed, Ethan Hunt doesn't tend to like to do failure very much. So, of course, he accepts this mission that is basically to find this crucifix key that it was believed the Russians were in charge of, and find it. But they don't know what it unlocks, and they don't know how to get both pieces, and they don't know where to even start. So, very impossible of a mission in terms of the way missions go. I'll be honest, like, I didn't do any prep for this movie. I didn't rewatch any of the Mission Impossibles. My favorite is Ghost Protocol, probably because that's the one where he climbs the tallest building in the world, and Jeremy Renner's in it, to be completely honest. But the one thing I will note is that I felt in this movie, more than I remember feeling in other Mission Impossible movies, is a lack of, like, team. Like, I like to see the team behind it. I like the comedy the team brings, and although Simon Pegg and the man whose name always escapes me, they're always great in their roles. And then of course we do get introduction of new characters, Haley Atwell's character being the number one kind of side character in this film. And I apologize to the people who put blood, sweat, and tears into making this movie, but the minute I saw her on screen, I was like, this is a Peggy Carter modern day AU fanfiction. That's what was going on in my head. Again, I was hungry at this point, so I was gonna do little mind games to like distract from that, but she is great in this movie. I think she is a underutilized talent in action movies like this, and I just think she's great. I think Haley Atwell is wonderful, and we get to kind of explore her character. I think she has a really great dynamic with Tom Cruise, but there is something about the two of them playing this little bit of a cat and mouse game while also being against the US government and also being against the Russians and against every other rich bad person that wants this crucifix key that still, most of the movie, we're not aware of what it unlocks. It just feels a little like cheesy at points. Like, Their chemistry is good. I like seeing them on screen together, but they do a car chase sequence at one point, which again, not gonna try to spoil anything, that feels similar to the car chase that was in the most recent James Bond No Time to Die film. However, instead of being played for like tension, and maybe it's something about the Tom Cruise of it all, of knowing that he always survives, he's not gonna die, like he's just in it to win it, and like you're just waiting to the point where he wins it. I felt like some of the things that they're doing during this cat and mouse unlikely couple, fish out of water shtick they got going on, all of those tropes combined in this scene create a little bit of a cheese for me. I'm not saying it's bad, it's definitely enjoyable. Like I said, this is very much a popcorn movie, a movie you go to the theaters to see, to enjoy. It's got great sound, it's got great action, whatever, but there's a couple scenes where I'm just like, take it out of it a little bit. Now again, could be the hunger talking. It feels like there's a bomb drop like halfway through or 3/4 of the way through the movie, that for some reason, despite the fact that we're never told what these keys unlock, when that is potentially discovered or unveiled, it felt a little bit like that's chaos magic, Wanda, you're the Scarlet Witch. Like, it felt a little bit of an obvious reveal, and I don't know if they were trying to do a bomb under the table type of dramatic tension where you as the audience know what something does, but nobody else does, and you're like, stay away from this thing, or like, you need to get to this thing faster. I don't know, it just didn't work for me. It didn't play well. I felt like I then was a step behind the entire movie, and that's not always the most fun way to experience a spy thriller like this, when you just, like, you want to feel a part of it, or you want to be given the right keys of information to figure something out, rather than spend like half of a movie not knowing what's going on and the other half of the movie just trying to like stop a bad guy. Again, I'm not trying to hound on this movie. I think overall it's a good time. It's an entertaining time. And some of my complaints about it, potentially had I better fed myself that day, I would have been more in the film to try to figure certain things out, or like put more of my movie intelligence and my film brain towards it. But that day I just wasn't, and I haven't felt compelled enough to want to see this movie again. So I'm excited to see everyone else's thoughts about it. Of course, leave yours in the comments down below. I just think that at the end of the day, Ethan Hunt is gonna Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise is gonna Tom Cruise, and the mission is always gonna be impossible, and hopefully next time I go to the movies I won't be hungry. I hope you enjoy Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 when it releases on July 12th. Happy watching, everyone, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.